Hi guys, it's Bryony. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my 10-year anniversary video. 10 years, oh my goodness, how time flies. This actually technically is a slightly belated 10-year anniversary video because my 10-year anniversary ends up happening in April, May earlier this year, but I was on maternity leave at that point, so obviously I wasn't filming. But this felt like such an important milestone to mark, and so I really wanted to make a video on it. So now a bit of time has passed, I decided it would still be okay to make this video because there's a few things I kind of want to go back over and to talk about. My channel has changed quite a bit in the last couple of years, and so I thought it'd be really cool to recap how everything started and also to share with those of you who have joined more recently, particularly with my solo motherhood journey, you can know where the roots of this channel began and see the long history over the last 10 years of what we've been doing over here. It would also be really cool to know when you maybe joined my channel, those of you watching this video. Let me know in the comments how long you've been a subscriber. Have you been here from the beginning? Are you a new subscriber? Did you find me through my pregnancy content, through my menstrual health content? It'd be really awesome to know. So that would be I'm so curious to see where everyone came from. So do leave a comment down below about that. But in this video, I'm going to recap how everything started on here, what I've been doing over the last 10 years, where I am now, and also what my plans are for the future. So Precious Stars Vlogs actually originally started as Precious Stars Pads, and those of you who've been around here for a while will remember that because that change only happened quite recently. But it actually wasn't my first YouTube channel. I originally started out in January of 2013 and I was making very random videos about point shoes. I can't even remember the name of that channel, to be honest, it's so long since I did that. But I basically was dancing a lot of the time and I was going through a lot of point shoes and I used to kind of like show them off. And then I moved on to a channel talking about my health problems at the time. Now back then I was diagnosed with a condition called ME, myalgic encephalomyelitis, also more commonly known as chronic fatigue syndrome, and so I had a video like talking about my like ME CFS journey. And I remember when I was thinking about starting this channel that my other channel had about 60 subscribers on it, and I thought, oh, this new channel's never going to get as many subscribers as that, which is quite ironic looking back on it now. But Precious Stars Vlogs, or Precious Stars Pads as it was known back in those days, originally started because I had come across reusable menstrual products through watching various videos on the internet, and it was originally sparked by my idea that I was chronically ill at the time. I was in bed a lot of the time and using disposable pads and tampons were really uncomfortable, and I wanted more comfortable products and also more sustainable products too, because I knew they were really bad for the environment. This is what led me to discover menstrual cups, which then led me to discover cloth pads, and I discovered that there was a very small like YouTube world at the time of women talking about using these products, and I got really interested in them because sustainability is something I've always been interested in. Menstrual health was also something I'd been interested in because I was always really curious and fascinated by biology, and I enjoyed studying that while I was at school, and reproductive health in particular was an area I was very interested in. So it's kind of like all these different interests I'd had coalescing into one big interest that I was like, oh, this is something that really is right up my alley. And I started using some of these products, in particular the cloth pads and the menstrual cups, and found them far more comfortable. And I also realised that a number of cloth pad makers were just stay-at-home mums who were making them for a bit of extra money on the side. And I was someone who knew how to use a sewing machine, and I was stuck at home all day, not really doing anything. So I thought, oh, maybe this is a way that I could have a little bit of a hobby that earns me a bit of money. So that's how I started my company, Precious Stars, which is the company that sold the pads for so long. And Precious Stars Pads, the channel, really started because I thought it'd be a good way to market myself, to basically make people aware that I sold these pads and hopefully encourage more people to buy them, but also because I was aware there wasn't really much information out there about them, and I wanted to make more awareness of these products and share lots of details about how they were used and how you could buy them and all these sorts of things, because there was no awareness of reusables at that point in time, particularly menstrual cups and cloth pads. They were just invisible. And I'd also noticed that nobody really had a channel at that point in time dedicated specifically to talking about these products and posting on a regular basis. And this was during the YouTube era where there were a good few YouTubers that had become really popular, and they had become weekly posters. And I thought, well, maybe I'll take that kind of formula of posting weekly or multiple times weekly and use it to share information about the reusable products, and that might work. And turns out it did. So I made my first ever video, I think on April 30th, and the reason I remember it was April 30th is because it's my mother's birthday, and that is my mum's birthday. I filmed it on my webcam on my MacBook Pro, so the video quality is not great, And the editing is, if I watch it back, I'm like, oh my god, it's cringeworthy now to me, because I've obviously over time improved a lot. But I made my first video there and then continued to make them. And I filmed it in our spare room at the time as well. So I had like my little filming studio. And I had a really great time, and I enjoyed making these videos and posting them. And gradually, as time went on, I became more and more well known. And that is how my channel initially started. Now, I remember that it took me about a year to get from no subscribers to around 1,000 subscribers. And that was like my big milestone. That was like my major goal, was to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I think I did it at around the 1 year mark. But what was interesting was after I hit that 1,000 mark, it definitely snowballed from there. It was a lot, the subscriber count definitely went up a lot faster after that, and I continued making these videos about sustainable period products, about reviewing cloth pads and menstrual cups and trying them out for quite a while. I also started getting sent products for free to try out, so that allowed me to expand on my channel. And again, at the time, all I was really doing was recovering from what I didn't know at the time was actually Lyme disease, and trying to get better. And so I had all this time on my hands, and I found a community, and it was a way that I got really engaged. It was a way I was starting to make some money too. And so this YouTube channel really gave me a purpose and something to do, and it's something I'm incredibly grateful to it for, because at that point in time I really needed it. Oh, the other thing that's quite cool to kind of remember about this time is a couple of months after I started this channel, I managed to persuade my mum to buy me a new camcorder, and it was a camcorder at that point in time, back in 2013. And I think it was like £200. So compared to some of the cameras you get now, like really not expensive, but it's still a lot of money. And I think she was a little bit hesitant to buy it at the time, but she'd seen that I was really engaged with this. It was giving me a purpose, giving me something to do, and she felt like it was worth it to sort of give me something that kind of motivated me. And to this day, she maintains that that £200 she spent on that camera was one of the best investments she ever made, because I used that camera for years. I don't think I actually upgraded it to like the Canon G7X, which became like the vlog camera in the mid 20 teens. I don't think I upgraded it until about 2015, 2016. So I used that camera for a long time. But yeah, I think it's cool that something that was a part of this journey is something that she remembers as being a really worthwhile investment. And so over the years, I continued to make content about sustainable period products, and I also continued to grow my own business, Precious Stars, which was selling cloth pads. And I would say that this peaked for me in about 2016. I think that was like the peak of my reusable period product content on my channel and the peak of my business sales as well. 2016 was definitely the peak year for me. It was also the year I released a menstrual cup collaboration with the Lena Cup company. It was called the Brie and Lena Cup, and actually the name Brie is a part of this story of my channel too, which I'll get into in a second. But that was a really exciting time because I'd helped them design the original cup, and then we released this like special colorway too, and it was just so lovely to kind of see my name on a product when I'd done, at that point, to be honest, quite a lot for the industry. I don't think anyone else had really focused on menstrual cups in the way I had at this point in time, and sustainable period products were definitely gaining ground in mainstream media, and I think I played a small part in that. And the name Brie is actually a pretty important part of the story too, because you guys will probably notice that I call myself Bryony now, but back when I started my channel, I gave myself the name Brie. That was because Bryony isn't a name that you can easily make a nickname out of. It was either Bry or Bry-Y, and like I just never really liked those. It's also a reason why I gave my son a name that I felt could have a nickname quite easily, because it's one thing I didn't like about mine is I didn't have a good nickname for it. But there was also a bit of me trying to like reinvent myself when I started this channel, because I dropped out of school a few months beforehand. I had done alright in school, but I'd never been like the popular kid or anything like that. I was kind of the weird one. I was a little bit nerdy, but I wasn't nerdy enough to be like one of the group of nerds. And so I just kind of found myself a bit cast adrift at that time. And I really wanted to do something to kind of reinvent myself and to have this new space. And so when I started the channel, partly for like having this new version of myself, but also partly to kind of give myself some anonymity on the internet at that time, because I was only 15 when I started this channel, I gave myself the name Brie, and that's what I used for many years, and I became known as Brie online. It was like my online name, my stage name, if you like, and that's what I went by until a few years ago I decided that actually that wasn't me anymore, and I didn't need to be this kind of reinvented person, and I wanted to become Bryony again. And so that's when I switched back to using my actual name, which is Bryony, and that is what I go by now. But Brie is definitely a part of this story too, because that was a name I went by for so long. It's a name some people still use for me online, and I'm fine with that, by the way, if you want to. But it just is kind of interesting to see the change over time from who I started as to who I am now, and to see myself grow in confidence in who I am and to kind of own my name again. That's something that's been really nice to see evolve through the years. 2017 onwards is when my interest in sustainable menstrual products really starts to wane, and I start to realise that I don't have the same passion for it that I once did. And I think this is the point at which my channel really enters like a kind of stagnant phase. There was a good couple of years where I was still making content, but it wasn't driving the growth that it previously had because I didn't have the passion behind it that I previously had. I was just running my business and running the channel kind of as a way to keep the channel going, but also as promotion for and free advertising for my business to kind of keep that going too, and just sort of, you know, pottering along for a bit. And that happened for a good couple of years. And then in 2019, I decided to become a foster carer. This is something I had been interested in for a while. I'd always enjoyed looking after children, and I knew that I really wanted to do this at some point in my life. And it just so happened that at that point in 2019, when I was 21, I happened to be in a place where I had a secure home, I had a spare bedroom, and I felt like this was something I really wanted to do. So I decided to go ahead and apply and just see if they would consider approving me, and they did. And this started a new phase of my channel as well, because when I was approved, I obviously told them about what I did for work, my channel content and my business and everything, and they also do an online check for you when you go into fostering, so they obviously found me. It's not difficult to find me online. But when I was going through the approval process, the social worker I had at that time, she was brilliant, and she was quite similar in age to me, so she really got social media and the value from it. And I had said to her that I thought, you know, I'd seen that there wasn't really a lot of talk about fostering online, and maybe I could use my platform as a way to kind of share, you know, what fostering was like and encourage other people to foster, because we have a shortage of foster carers in this country, and I think pretty much everywhere in the world has a shortage of foster carers. So being able to give a bit more insight from the point of view as a foster carer could be quite valuable. And so that was something else I was looking forward to adding into my channel when I became a foster carer. So it kind of felt like I was revitalising the channel in a new way. However, she was just my assessing social worker, and she was very positive about all this, and she left just before I got approved. And then once I was approved, the social workers I had from that point onwards, they were a bit older, and they didn't understand the social media side of things at all, and were quite resistant to it, which was really tricky for me, because I was like, you approved me knowing this is my job. You know, I talked about it, and when I tried to make content about, like, you know, some aspects of fostering, the different types of fostering, etc., at first they would be okay with it, and then later down the line would be like, oh, maybe actually you should take it all off. So it became really difficult to make any content about fostering at all, actually, and they kept sort of moving the goalpost with what I could and couldn't post about. So I would ask them, could you just tell me, like, what the guidelines are? Like, this is okay to talk about, this isn't okay to talk about, because I'm kind of working in the dark here, but this is still my job, this is still a part of my income, and I want to talk about fostering too, so I need to be able to film, and, like, could you just give me some guidelines? And they just could never do it, because they were just so... Fostering in general is completely unprepared for the world of social media. It's unprepared for its children to be on social media, it's unprepared for foster carers to be on social media. The whole thing is just not set up for a social media world. And so I tried to make it work for a while, but then it became just too difficult, and at one point they wanted me to send every video that I had that had any reference to fostering to my social worker first to approve, but obviously my social worker had other things to do and, you know, couldn't add that really to her workload. It wasn't fair, and so I'd have to send it to her and then wait for her to get a chance to watch it through and then approve it, and that just doesn't really work for an editing schedule. And so the easiest thing to do really was just to stop talking about fostering altogether, which was sad, because I felt like there was a lack of information out there about how fostering worked, and it could have been really useful. But also in some ways I was beginning to see just how difficult the world of fostering actually was, and I wanted to talk more about the struggles with it, and they really didn't want any negative videos about it at all going out there, which is impossible to make, because the reality of fostering is it is in a horrific state at the moment. And so I kind of stopped filming, because I was like, if I can't be honest about what's actually going on, obviously not like talking about the details of any children I was looking after, but just even honest about the system, then there's no point in me making videos, because I didn't want to be encouraging people to go foster, because it's honestly not something I could even recommend to anybody right now to become a foster carer. It is just diabolical what's going on in the system right now. But while I was fostering, I just really couldn't talk about that, so I just stopped making any videos at all to do with fostering and just went back to focusing on, like, the sustainable period product videos, and also adding in some other ones about women's health and kind of expanding a little bit more out from just the reusable menstrual products to talking about periods in general and reproductive health, and kind of going off from there a little bit, so expanding my channel too. But it was also very difficult to do this whilst I was still fostering, because fostering is a full-time role. It is essentially a full-time job that isn't recognised as a full-time job. They want you to have your own income, but then when you have a child, they want you to focus solely on them. They don't want them going to childcare or anything. This is in the UK, by the way, it's not worldwide. They don't want them going to childcare if they're under a certain age. And so it was like trying to find time to sit down and film and then edit the videos and keep a schedule was so difficult. And I actually ended up going down to just making one video a month at this point because it was too difficult to do any more than that. And at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say that my channel was kind of fizzling out. I was letting it just, you know, coast along and posting the odd video here or there to keep in touch and to keep a bit of income coming in. But it was very difficult to do, and I knew it wasn't going to last much longer. And in 2021, I came to the very difficult decision that I was going to stop fostering, which makes me really sad on the one hand, but I also knew it had to happen because the stress of dealing with that system, and at this point, like the videos, like I'd long since stopped making that, but other things going on were just making it so difficult, and I was having a lot of like anxiety and misery around doing it. I hung on a bit longer than I possibly should have done because I really enjoyed looking after the children, and you know, I just couldn't bear the thought of there being kids out there that I could help and not being able to help them because I wasn't approved as a foster carer. But I definitely came to the conclusion in 2021 that this was not going to be something I could do in the long term anymore. This wasn't, when I went into fostering, it's something I thought I might be doing for potentially decades, but I realised there was no way I could do it in the current system. I would just be broken within, you know, years if I tried to do that. So I kind of had this mental image in my head of actually within the next 5 years, I'm going to stop fostering, but I didn't have a certain time limit set on that. But the other decision I made in 2021 was that I wanted to have a child myself. I wanted to become a biological parent through using a sperm donor. And when I made the decision that I wanted to have a child, I was at a real crossroads with what to do because I had been fostering for a couple of years, and here I am making this decision that I'm not going to be doing this long term. So that's not going to be a long term thing for me. I've let my channel fizzle down at this point because I've been so overwhelmed by fostering and everything going on that this is only really making one video a month, and you know, that's very much affected my income for my channel. It's kind of just like pitter-pattering along at this point. And I also realised that from my business side of things, I wanted to get Precious Stars, the pad side of my business, to its 10th birthday. But again, my passion and my joy for running that business had also really waned over the years. And so I decided that I was also going to shut down Precious Stars after it got to its 10th anniversary, which was also in May earlier this year. So that kind of put me in this position of whether I decided to shut them all down and go off and get a completely different job and then wait a few years to become established in that job before trying to have a baby, or whether I use this kind of like shift in my life focus and my career choices to actually have my baby now and then focus on a new career further down the line, which is actually what I chose to do. And as part of doing that, I decided I was going to try and like revamp my channel in a new way, and I was going to document my journey as a solo parent because once again I was looking online for information about this and I couldn't find very much, and that's sort of how my channel started with the reusable menstrual product side of things. So like there wasn't really anyone talking about reusable menstrual products back in 2013, and today there are a few videos about solo parents and solo parenthood, but there was no real like main YouTuber out there who I could follow and be like, yes, that's what they're doing, and no one creating a lot of content around it. So I thought, well, this is something I've decided to do anyway, so why don't I use this new chapter of my life to turn over a new chapter on my YouTube channel? And that's where the shift from focusing solely on the sustainable menstrual side and like the women's health side over to the solo parenthood side of things happened. It was when I made that decision. Now, I made this decision that I was going to start trying for a baby back in September 2021, but I didn't actually get pregnant until June 2022. So obviously during that time I was keeping it very private and keeping it quiet, so I was filming other stuff. So I was trying to, I remember, boost my channel in other ways, go back to the original content I was making and start slipping some new style videos in there as well to kind of start building my channel back up again. And then I knew that when I actually did get pregnant, I would talk about my journey to getting pregnant and all that kind of stuff, and then I would talk about my journey as a solo parent after my child was born, if everything hopefully went all right. And then I did get pregnant in June 2022, and I had turned I filmed the journey of getting to that point and called it my journey to solo parenthood. And I hope a number of you have watched that. It was a series I really enjoyed making. However, unfortunately, my pregnancy turned out to be really, really difficult. It meant I ended up stopping fostering a bit earlier than I thought I would. I had planned to foster through my pregnancy for a bit, and then when I had that last, because I tended to do short-term fostering, when my last child or children left me in my pregnancy, then obviously I would take a break. And I had thought I might come back to fostering after I had my son, but deep down I knew I probably wouldn't. It was just I wanted to keep that door open. But I ended up having to stop fostering a little bit sooner than I had expected because I was just so ill in my pregnancy. And then because I was so ill in my pregnancy, both physically and mentally, I had initially had all these like happy, exciting video ideas that I'd drawn up in my head for what I would make on my channel while I was pregnant, about the journey and everything, and that just didn't happen. I was like, I can't make these happy videos because I just feel so miserable right now, and I didn't understand what was going on. And once again I was like, well, maybe I should, use my channel to talk about that too, because I don't see this in social media very often, people talking about the struggles of pregnancy or how actually things sometimes are miserable when you're pregnant. And so that experience also shaped the videos that I made during that time as well. But even though I wasn't able to make as many videos or the sort of happy style of video that I really was hoping to before I got pregnant, I still was able to make some content and people still enjoyed it, and that definitely did help with kind of like revamping my channel, and I noticed my subscriber numbers pick up again too. And obviously I was trying to make videos on a weekly basis as well, and that was helping with building my channel up back again as well. And then earlier this year my son was born, and I knew that when he was born I would want to take a at least 3 month break from YouTube. So I'd pre-recorded a couple of videos to go out during that mat leave period, and then I started coming back to work because I was self-employed. I started coming back to work with what are known as kit days from my maternity allowance in, I think it was June, July earlier this year as well. And then, my content has gradually shifted over to sharing my experiences as a solo parent now that I actually have my son. And that basically takes us up to today, which is the content and the stuff that I make on my channel and where my channel has ended up now. It's been really cool to kind of see it evolve over the years. And I did debate when I went on this journey whether I should start a separate one, but because I knew I wasn't really going to be making any more content about like the sustainable period product side of things, because as I said before, my passion and my joy, I still, if people ask me about them, I still know a lot about these products and I'm always happy to share that, but like the really intense passion and joy I once had for it had waned, and I'm now at a different point in my life. When I started this channel I was in my adolescence, and I'm now an adult who's had a baby, and I'm kind of going through matrescence. And I think kind of sharing that shift from, single womanhood into motherhood is something I really want to focus on a lot more of my channel, and kind of sharing that journey and sharing the realities behind it, the joys and the highs but also the lows, and that kind of, side of things that we don't really see in the media. There's still very much a negative narrative around single parents and particularly single mothers, and I think being able to be part of seeing a positive change in that would be something I would love to do, and that's kind of where my channel is going to be focusing on from now on. And so finally, let's talk about the future of this channel. Well, if you'd asked me when I'd started this channel where it was going to be in 10 years time, I would definitely not been able to tell you that I would be here today. So it's kind of impossible for me to tell you about my long-term plans for the channel because things change over time, but I can give you an insight into what my short-term plans for it are. Although the content of my channel may have changed over time, there is one overriding factor that I've always tried to have, which is that I like to have a channel that has kind of like a personal touch to it, so you guys get to see me and have an insight into my life, but also an educational aspect to it too, of being a way that I can share information with people and maybe raise awareness about things that you aren't familiar with or you don't know much about. And it doesn't matter whether you are a parent or aren't a parent, my videos aim to kind of make everybody more aware of the things that affect parenthood, or if you have periods, don't have periods, those videos are designed so that anyone could access that information. Just being able to put info out there in kind of like a friendly, helpful way is my main aim with my channel, and always has been. And the other thing that I really like to have with my channel is I aim for this to be a really safe, cozy space. I like my videos mostly to be videos that you can come and watch. If you've had a rough day or something's gone on, you can come and watch my videos. They're not going to be filled with drama, they're not going to be very dramatic, or you know, you have to kind of be in the right headspace to watch them. They can just be kind of comforting, on in the background, maybe something that you can watch that you know is going to kind of maybe ground you a bit. That's something I really do like to make my videos with kind of in mind on my channel. Obviously there might be the odd video here or there that has a little bit more kind of intensity to it, like when I talked about my mental health problems in my pregnancy, but generally speaking I like to make these videos in a kind of calm, non-dramatic manner, in a way that you can come and watch them and sort of, you know, it's something you can watch while you're eating your dinner. It's something that you can have, like I said, on in the background, or just comforting. Comforting is what I aim for with my channel. And that is definitely something that I plan to continue on into the future. In the immediate future, however, there will be a few changes coming, and that mainly happens when my son is a year old, because at that point, from March onwards, he is going to be going to nursery 1 day a week. So I will have my parents having him 1 day and nursery having him 1 day, which gives me an extra day to film and edit. So up until that point, my aim is to get out 1 video a week like I have been doing, so it will kind of be continuing along the same lines that it has been doing. And from that time in March when he is going to nursery, I'm aiming to add an extra video kind of once every 2 weeks. So they'll be around going from 4 videos a month to 6 videos a month. So you'll have 1 week with 1 video, 1 week with 2, 1 week with 1 week with 2. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'm also going to be adding some more of like the daily vlog style videos in here, as opposed to the sit down videos like I'm doing now that I've kind of done mostly for the last couple of months too. I will be continuing these as well because there's a lot of different topics I want to discuss, a lot of videos I want to make, but I'm kind of going to intersperse them more with more of like the daily kind of look into my lifestyle video. The main change you will see with that, however, is that from when Oren is 1, I will no longer be showing his face online. Well, he's a baby and he's kind of got like a generic baby face. I've been okay with it, but once he's 1, that's not going to be the case anymore. And so you will see a slight change in how those daily vlog videos are filmed there, but I am still going to be kind of showing like my life from my perspective as a solo parent and some of the things that we do, and you know, just giving you guys an insight into what solo parenthood life is like where I live and, you know, for me. So that is my current plan for the immediate future of my channel, and for the next probably couple of years from that point. You can kind of assume this is going to be the setup, but beyond that, who knows? It's been really cool to look back at like the evolution of my channel and see how things have changed, and things I'm sure will change again in the future, but hopefully you enjoy being along for the ride. And thank you so much to all of you who have supported me this far, for however long you've been apart. If you've been here from the beginning, thank you. If you have recently joined, thank you. And also to those of you who maybe have watched me for a while but the solo parenthood stuff really isn't your thing and you decide this is the time to stop following me, thank you so much for your support so far on my journey, and thank you for following me for the time that you did. As human beings, we all change and evolve as we grow and get older. I think it's really cool to be able to show that actually through my channel and through my content, because this channel in a way is me. This is who I am. And I did debate changing the name from Precious Stars Vlogs, which I changed it to a couple of years ago to kind of incorporate the other types of videos I was adding in, not just focusing on pads. But I decided not to, because Precious Stars still feels a bit like me. I feel like I am still Precious Stars. And so having Precious Stars Vlogs rather than changing the name kind of feels like it ties into the history, but it also allows me to focus on a future and can tie everything in together too. So I decided not to change the name for that reason. But thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and thank you so much to those of you who've been here for years and those of you who are new. Thank you for watching my videos and for supporting my channel and my content. I am always open to hearing new video suggestions, so if you have anything you particularly want to see, do always leave it in a comment down below. If I see something that I think, oh yeah, I'll definitely do that, I always add it to a list. I've got a long list here of things I want to do, and so it'll probably get chucked on there, and at some point I'll get around to doing it. And also thank you to my superstar members as well for supporting the channel and allowing me to make content that isn't specifically designed for the algorithm. If you're interested in joining, check out the join link down below too. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thank you for 10 amazing years, and I can't wait to see you in next week's video. Bye guys, have a great day.